Welcome to Space Nexus. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more. Breaking updates: court decision is reshaping the national conversation on gun ownership and public safety. This landmark ruling is not just a legal milestone but a societal one, reflecting the evolving attitudes towards firearms in America. For the first time, the court has upheld new firearm confiscation laws, signaling a major shift in how America balances individual rights with the urgent need to prevent violence. This decision could set a precedent for future legislation aimed at curbing gun violence. This ruling will directly impact communities nationwide, changing how law enforcement responds to crises. Police departments will need to adapt their protocols, and communities will have to engage in new dialogues about safety and rights, and how citizens navigate their Second Amendment rights. The interpretation of these rights will be scrutinized and debated more than ever before as people come to terms with the new legal landscape. The decision is the result of years of legal battles, tragic events, and evolving public opinion. It reflects a nation grappling with the balance between freedom and security, a debate that is intensified with each incident of gun violence. It marks a turning point, providing a legal framework for removing firearms from individuals deemed a danger to themselves or others. This framework will be crucial in preventing potential tragedies and ensuring public safety. We'll explore the history behind this moment, the laws at its center, and hear from those most affected: law enforcement, gun rights advocates, and families touched by gun violence. Their stories will shed light on the human impact of this ruling. This is more than a legal story. It's about the fabric of American society and the choices we face. The ruling challenges us to think about our values and the kind of society we want to build. Understanding this ruling is more critical now than ever. As we move forward, the implications of this decision will continue to unfold, shaping the future of our nation. To understand today's ruling, we need to look back at the evolution of gun laws in America. The 2008 Heller decision affirmed the individual right to possess firearms, but left open the question of what restrictions are constitutional. This led to a patchwork of state laws, some tightening, others loosening gun regulations. The rise in mass shootings fueled calls for new measures, like red flag laws, now in place in over 20 states. These laws allow temporary removal of firearms from those deemed a risk, but have faced criticism for inconsistent standards and slow processes. The legal landscape has been in constant flux, with each new tragedy and court case pushing the boundaries of what's allowed. Today's unanimous decision arrives amid this ongoing struggle to balance constitutional rights with public safety. The path here has been anything but straightforward. The 20,000 scroll in der Jumbi always stop. Bruin decision changed everything, sending shockwaves through the legal world and upending decades of precedent on gun regulation. For the first time, the Supreme Court required that all gun laws must align with the nation's historical traditions, not just modern policy goals or public safety concerns. This new test forced courts and lawmakers to justify every modern regulation by looking back to the founding era, searching for historical analogs to today's laws. The result? A wave of confusion and a flood of legal challenges as judges struggled to interpret what counted as a historical tradition and which laws could survive. States scrambled to respond, passing creative new laws, like Hawaii's restrictions on concealed carry in public spaces, hoping to thread the needle between safety and the new legal standard. But these efforts only sparked further lawsuits and uncertainty. In 2024, the Supreme Court's Rahimi case brought some clarity, ruling that individuals proven to be dangerous, such as those under domestic violence restraining orders, could be temporarily disarmed, even under the strict Bruin test. This decision affirmed that due process and public safety could coexist, and that courts could still act to protect communities from credible threats. These rulings laid the groundwork for the High Court's latest decision, showing that well-structured, safety-focused restrictions, when carefully justified, can survive even the most rigorous judicial scrutiny. The legal landscape is still shifting, with boundaries and interpretations evolving as new cases are decided, but the court has signaled a willingness to support targeted interventions that balance rights and safety. The fallout from these landmark cases continues to shape the future of gun regulation, influencing lawmakers, courts, and communities across the country. The debate is far from over, and the next chapter in America's gun laws is still being written. At the heart of the latest ruling is Nevada's groundbreaking law, set to take effect in July 2025. Unlike traditional red flag laws, Nevada's law allows police to immediately confiscate firearms from anyone placed on an emergency mental health hold, no court order required. The law was prompted by the tragic Manhattan office shooting, where existing laws failed to prevent a known risk from turning deadly. Supporters say the law closes a dangerous loophole, giving police the tools to act quickly in a crisis. Critics argue it bypasses due process, allowing firearms to be seized based on an officer's judgment without judicial oversight. The debate centers on whether immediate action or judicial review should take priority in protecting public safety. The High Court's decision upholds this new approach, setting a precedent for other states. The tension between safety and rights is now at the forefront of national policy. Every law is rooted in real lives, families devastated by violence, whose stories echo through courtrooms and legislative halls. Behind each statute there are faces, names, and memories that drive the urgency for change. These are not just abstract rules, but responses to heartbreak and loss that ripple through entire communities. And for every family seeking protection, there are individuals fearful of losing their rights, people who worry that new laws might overreach, threatening freedoms they hold dear. The tension between safety and liberty is deeply personal, felt in living rooms and at rallies across the country. The Nevada law was inspired by the failure to prevent the Manhattan shooting, despite clear warning signs that were tragically missed. Lawmakers looked at what went wrong and asked how such a tragedy could be prevented in the future, hoping to close the gaps that allowed danger to slip through. For the families of victims, these laws are more than policy. They are a lifeline, a way to honor loved ones lost and to ensure others don't suffer the same fate. Their voices are often the loudest in the push for reform, demanding action where the system has failed. But responsible gun owners worry about being unfairly targeted, concerned that their rights could be swept away by broad measures even when they follow the law and act with care. For some, like a veteran with PTSD, the fear is especially acute. A single call or misunderstanding could mean losing access to firearms, even if they pose no real threat. The consequences can be life-altering, affecting not just rights, but dignity and trust. For many Americans, guns are both a right and a part of their identity, woven into family traditions and personal history. The debate isn't just about policy, it's about values, heritage, and what it means to be safe and free. That's why the prospect of confiscation feels so deeply personal, stirring fears of losing not just property, but a sense of security and autonomy. Advocates like Christian Haynes stress the need for laws that focus on specific risk behaviors, not mental health diagnoses, arguing that targeting actions, not labels, is the fairest way to protect both safety and rights. The challenge is to protect the public without stigmatizing mental illness or violating due process. Lawmakers must walk a fine line, ensuring that interventions are precise, just, and respectful of everyone's dignity. These stories reveal the complexity of crafting fair, effective laws, balancing the needs of victims, the rights of individuals, and the realities of enforcement. The High Court's decision validates one approach, but it's only the beginning of a much larger conversation about justice and safety. The real test will be in how these laws are implemented, whether they truly protect communities without trampling on fundamental rights. The stakes are high for both safety and civil liberties, and the outcome will shape lives for generations to come. With the court's backing, attention turns to how these laws will work in practice. In Nevada, police must quickly assess mental health crises and decide whether to seize firearms, often in tense, unpredictable situations. Officers now act as both law enforcers and mental health evaluators, shouldering immense responsibility. The process involves immediate seizure, safe storage, and a path for individuals to petition for the return of their property. Real-world cases, like the Highland Park incident, show the complexities of enforcement and the need for clear protocols. Success depends on specialized training, resources, and strong community trust. Without robust mental health support, confiscation alone is only a temporary fix. The challenge is to ensure these laws protect both public safety and individual rights. The High Court's decision has intensified the debate over gun confiscation. Supporters see it as a vital tool to prevent tragedy, allowing swift intervention when someone poses a clear risk. Critics warn it erodes due process, letting police seize property based on subjective judgment. Law enforcement welcomes the clarity but remains wary of backlash and the burden of making life-altering decisions. The core disagreement is about risk. Should we prioritize collective safety or individual liberty? Gun safety advocates argue it's too dangerous to wait for a court hearing in a crisis. Gun rights supporters fear wrongful confiscation and loss of self-defense. The court has sided with proactive intervention in emergencies, but the public debate rages on. Every seizure will be scrutinized, and the balance between safety and rights remains fragile. The ruling is a milestone, not the end of the conversation. The High Court's ruling on firearms is part of a larger debate about government power and property rights. This term, the Supreme Court is hearing cases on everything from home foreclosures to property seized by foreign governments. At the heart of these cases is a fundamental question. When can the government take property, and what protections do citizens have? The anxiety over gun confiscation echoes broader fears about government overreach. For many, seizing a firearm without a court order feels like a slippery slope threatening all property rights. The court's decision is narrowly focused on public safety, but it lands in a culture deeply skeptical of government power. The debate over confiscation of guns or anything else remains a defining issue in American law and society. Today's unanimous decision is a turning point in America's struggle with gun violence and rights. It establishes a precedent for immediate action in crises, giving states a new tool but also new responsibilities. Law enforcement gains power and a heavy burden to intervene before tragedy strikes. For those in crisis, it could mean life-saving help or a traumatic loss of rights. The ruling will shape political debates and future laws, but it doesn't resolve the deeper questions of fairness, mental health, and community trust. The challenge now is to ensure these laws are applied justly and supported by real mental health resources. The path forward is complex, but this decision has set a new course. Where it leads depends on the choices we make next.